In our last video, we went over a general overview of scams and provided some basic scam prevention tips. In this video, we'll be taking a closer look at one of the most common types of internet scams, the romance scam. Romance scams are where a scammer pretends to show romantic interest in a victim in order to gain their trust and subsequently exploit them. These types of scammers are experts in social manipulation and will use their victims' affection and feelings to their advantage. On top of the emotional damage romance scams can inflict, they can be just as damaging financially as well. If allowed to run their course, romance scams usually lead to the victim sending money to someone they don't intend, but they can also lead to the scammer gaining access to the victim's bank accounts and credit cards. They can even lead to the victim unknowingly committing fraud on behalf of the scammer, such as depositing a fraudulent check sent by the scammer. Romance scams can be executed by individual people, but they are often performed by groups of organized criminals. These groups can target multiple victims at once, and the group nature allows them to be able to message one victim at any time of the day. Since romance scam victims rarely see the other person's true face, it can be difficult to tell that the other person is actually different people just from text-based messages alone. Romance scammers will search all over the internet for victims, especially on dating websites and social media. They will create fake accounts using images of attractive people in what is known as catfishing. They may impersonate people such as models, foreign actors or actresses, military service members, or basically anyone the victim is likely to fall for. While they are mostly targeted at single and/or elderly users, anyone can be a victim to romance scams. Let's be honest, loneliness is a feeling that most of us have struggled with at some point in our lives. It can be crushing to our confidence and self-esteem, and the feeling of needing to escape it can be overwhelming at times. Unfortunately, this is exactly what romance scammers prey on when targeting their victims. When they do find a potential victim, the scammer will reach out and start talking with them. The scammer will usually attempt to gain a more direct or private method of communication with the victim. This not only makes it easier for the scammer to access their personal information, but being away from the dating site or initial place of contact makes it easier to isolate the victim from outside sources. Once communication is established, the scammer will start to build a relationship with the victim. Often, the scammer will profess their love relatively quickly and send everything from love poems and erotic messages to promises of being together one day. Little does the victim know at this point that this is all a facade in a secretly fake relationship. During all of this, the romance scammer will avoid showing their face or video calling with the victim. They may say they do want to meet up or visit sometime, but give a number of excuses as to why they must cancel at the last minute or are just generally unable to meet face-to-face. Once the scammer feels they have gotten close enough to the victim, they will strike, using the victim's false sense of a relationship to their advantage. They will ask the victim for money in one of many ways. They may say they need gas money, or they need funds to purchase a plane ticket to visit the victim. They could say they have unpaid education expenses, or a phone bill that needs to be paid in order to keep talking with the victim. Scammers are also well known to try drawing empathy from the victim, maybe saying they need money for a family member who requires urgent medical treatment, or that their loved one passed away and they need to pay for funeral expenses. These are just some of the countless ways a romance scammer will coerce their victim for money, and so very often will the victim fall for it. A romance scam usually ends when the victim realizes they are being scammed and taken advantage of, or that the other person is not who they say they are. They realize the relationship is not legitimate and ultimately end communication with the scammer. Unfortunately, this realization often comes far too late, after they have already sent money to the scammer. Sometimes it doesn't even end there, however. In some cases, the scammer could use blackmail against the victim, threatening to share their private conversations and interactions, especially erotic ones, to the victim's friends, family, or employer if they do not comply and send the money. It can get to be a messy situation, to say the least. So, if you do find someone you're romantically interested in online, here are some tips on how to protect yourself from romance scams. Cross-check and verify the person's information for legitimacy. This can be done by Google searching for their name, picture, location, etc. Don't only go off of what they say. Make sure they are who they say they are. Never wire money, put cash on a gift card, or send funds to somebody you've only communicated with online or by phone. You won't get it back. Slow down and talk to someone you already know and trust about the situation. Don't let your romantic interest rush you or make you make impulsive decisions alone. This is, of course, easier said than done. It's easy to be swept up by the feelings of romance, but don't let your common sense be drowned out by your immediate emotions. Some red flags to look out for are: if the person tries to get a more direct way of communication away from the dating site, if the person professes their love relatively quickly, if the person says they want to meet up but always cancels at the last minute for whatever reason, if the person asks for money. This is a big red flag. If you think you've been the victim of a romance scam, cease all contact with the scammer immediately. If you've already sent money to the scammer or given away your financial information, contact your bank right away. Report the individual on the dating site or social media platform you met them in, and block them to prevent further communication. If you've shared any passwords with the scammer, change them immediately. In a world where online interactions are becoming more and more common, it's incredibly easy to fall for online scams, especially romance scams. However, it's also easy to avoid them once you know what to look for. Intense feelings such as love and romance can make it easy for us to get caught up in the moment and make rash decisions. Take the time to slow down though, and make sure your love interest is a legitimate person before getting more serious. We hope this video has been helpful, and we will provide links to further resources and information in the description below. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to call us at 940-552-2511. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.